Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Hammer Podcast. Today is November 11th, 2020, and I'm speaking with Joe Lampson. Joe Lampson went to the Agape boarding school in Stockton, Missouri. And I also have today James Griffey. Welcome, James. Thanks for being on again.
Of course.
So I'm going to go ahead and give the floor to Joe. It's all yours, man.
All right. Well, I appreciate you having me here. You have already had, I think, 3 or maybe 4 of my friends. I think 3. Alex and Devin and Lucas, all my friends. I knew them at Agape.
Yep.
So so I went to Agape 2017.
Okay.
Basically, I wasn't doing too well in school. I was disrespecting my mom a little bit. And, well, I am gay, and so my mom, she doesn't like that because she's a real religious Christian. And so she's like, you know what, I'm going to send you to this Christian boarding school and hopefully try to fix you.
Oh.
So that's why I went there. Not just for being gay, it's also I was having trouble in school and everything, but she sent me there. I spent 2 years, well, just 1 month shy of 2 years there. I never got higher than burgundy shirt. So, but while I was there, all the staff members knew that I was gay, and the dean especially always accused me of doing things that I didn't actually do, just because I was gay, and he thought that I had done them because I was gay.
Okay.
And well.
Did she think it was kind of a? Did your mom think it was kind of a gay conversion therapy, basically, or?
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure what she thought, but I know that she talked to my grandmother about it, and my grandmother also agreed that I should go there. But my dad was not on board at all with it. He thought they were taking me just to look at the school, and they weren't. They were bringing me there to drop me off. I didn't think that. I thought we were just going to look around, but they were like, all right, you can go now. And I was like, where are you going? I thought we were only looking. And they took me back and shaved my hair off. And
this whole hair shaving thing, it must be brand new, James.
Yeah, they used to give you an option of whether you like shave your head or if you wanted to part it on the side and comb it. But I'm wondering, so when you got dropped, maybe you already said this, but when you got dropped off there, do you think your mom had already told them that you were gay, or did they find out?
I guarantee you, my mom had already told them. I guarantee it.
Yeah. Dude, I just remember how it was for kids that were like that, like, you know, that were into other guys. You know, no big deal about that. That's what they were into other guys while they're at a boarding school with a bunch of guys. You know, it's like sending a teenage boy to all boys boarding school. All girls boarding school if he's straight. You know, like, and I remember they were just terrible to anyone who came out saying that, you know, hey, I like guys.
I know the dean, especially when he talked to me, he always sounded like he thought that I was into everyone there, which I'm not. You know, that's not how that works. Just because I'm gay doesn't mean I like every single guy. So, you know,
that just shows like the mindset. You know, it's like, man, dude, when you messaged me on Facebook and we were talking about like doing this, and you mentioned that, right when you said that, I was just like, dude, I feel for you. I feel for guys that went through that boarding school period, but going through that, but good for you for being vocal about it, for standing up, for being like, you know, hey, this is how I am, and like, I mean, did they convert you? Did they change you? Did they heal you?
I was there,
did they quote the book of Leviticus?
Yeah, right.
He definitely read it off to me. He definitely read off all the passages where it says you shouldn't be gay and everything. But while I was there, I was scared because I didn't know what all the students would think of. So I hid it. I did my very best to hide it, even going overboard and sometimes being mean to other people that were open about it, which I'm ashamed of. I it really got to me. I was so scared, man. Man.
I hear you. You know, they always seem to quote the book of Leviticus, you know,
Yeah.
but they never go any further than that, you know, where you can sell your
Right.
daughter into slavery, where, you know, you kill all
Yeah.
the girls that have known a man, but the younger ones you can take for your own. They never quote that stuff. The rape and
No.
the
Yeah.
incest and everything else that's in the Bible. They cherry pick, basically. So,
Yeah.
Hmm.
but anyway, go right
Dude.
ahead,
Yeah.
Joe.
Well, while I was there, I did get beaten up a couple of times, and the dean threatened that if I defended myself, he would punish me and no one else.
Wait, what?
When I got beaten up, he talked to me, and I was like, well, can I defend myself without getting in trouble? He's like, no, if you defend yourself, you're going to get in trouble, probably more than the other guy. And they say it a lot. The second guy always gets in trouble, and not the first guy. So
Why do you think that is? Like, why are? Because I've heard some other stories where it seems like the staff members are the ones instigating the students to beat up the other students. So I'm wondering.
definitely,
Okay.
definitely. I remember someone mentioned, I think Devin mentioned that one of the staff members threw a knife at a balloon. That staff member ran the Browntown at one point, and while I was there, I got in trouble and I got sent there. But he knew I was gay, and some of the students know. A lot of them thought, and some of them didn't know. But he definitely instigated it and was like, "Well, those faggots, you should beat them up. You know, you should beat them up and definitely arrest them and blah blah blah." And
Right.
looking at me the entire time. So
It's like,
Was there anybody there that confided in you that maybe they were gay as well? Don't you know? I'm
Yep.
gay. Just don't say anything.
Mhm.
You know.
Definitely, I know three
Yeah,
or four.
I'm sure that.
And if
Yeah.
and they were semi-popular kids, and if other people had found out, then I'm pretty sure some of them would have been like, well, they seem like all right guys, and some of them would be like, oh no, you're not my friend anymore.
Yeah.
But
man,
I knew three or four other people, so
gosh.
I'm glad that there are people. There was someone that said, actually Lucas was like, hey, I don't know if you are gay, but if you are, it's all right, man. I completely support you, and I'm here for you. And while at Agape, so
That's cool.
Yeah. We talked to him yesterday. He seemed like a really cool guy, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
He had some stories, man. Like I was just like, I was rewatching it. Actually, watched it about two times today. You know, just hearing it all over again because there's so much like stuff to cover, and it's man. So, did you get a chance to listen to the interview that we had with him yet, Joe, or no?
Not yet. No,
Okay.
I watched I watched Devin's and Alex's, but I haven't watched his yet. No, so
Man. I mean, but a lot of the stuff they talk about is pretty similar to. I mean,
yep,
it's not like they're making it up, right? So, I mean, now we
right,
got
yeah.
4 people confirming that those things happened, right? While you're,
Mhm.
Oh, it's not just the four, James. It's you and Mike and all
Yeah.
the other guys that have gone
True.
there. It's you know, and like I said, each person is just a small piece of the puzzle, you know, and it's all going to come into view. So
Yeah. So,
definitely.
did it get easier for you there, like as you went on, like, and you seems like I'm assuming the more
Well-
you hit that you were gay, like the easier it was, like.
Well, as I said before, I tried to hide it, and I feel like it was easier for me if people didn't know, and that way they just treated me equally without any discrimination whatsoever. So as the circulation of students continued, you know, students in, students out, I tried to erase it as best I could, and by the end of my stay, there was only a few that still thought I was gay, and it was definitely easier for me. So I kind of just stuck to my own friend group and didn't really talk to anyone else. So
Okay.
So now I'm wondering though, like the guys that were open about it there. So I mean, obviously,
oh,
you obviously saw something that made you fearful to want to be open about it. Like how
Mhm.
how did they treat and how were they treated by the other students, the people that were openly gay there?
well, while I was there, I believe there was one or two people that were openly gay, and they got so much hate for it, even from me, because I wanted to fit in and I didn't want to be near that and put myself in the same situation. So I remember a student that was taking hormone shots and trying to be a female, and they were gay, and they were open about it on their first day, thinking that everyone was cool with it, and they weren't. And it definitely put that kid in a sticky situation, and so
Sounds sounds like more like a dangerous situation.
yeah, dangerous situation,
I mean,
definitely.
when you went in there, you said that your mom had probably told them that you were gay.
hmm
Now, did the staff members go and tell everybody because they shouldn't have done that? Did everybody? Did
I'm
everybody
fairly
know?
certain.
Yeah, did
I'm
everybody know
fairly
when you
certain
walked
that
in?
one of them were like, one of the new kids is gay, and kind of pushed it in my direction, telling other students that, hey, one of these new kids is gay, and you should not hang around him and stuff. And
That right there would just that's not right. That's not
hmm
right. I mean, if anybody should be saying I'm gay to anybody, any of those kids there, it should have been you.
hmm
If you were comfortable enough to tell them, you know what I mean. Other than
yeah.
that, it's none of their business.
hmm
You know.
And oh man, and just having the fact that you have to the fact that you have to hide it and you're afraid. You know, like I know being at Agape, you're afraid of doing certain things. You know, but the, that's who you are. Like that's naturally who you are, and having to hide that completely for fear of being like. I guess I'm not sure if you want to or if you have any details like what would happen to someone. I guess that was what I'm trying to get at. It's like what would like do you have any like examples of there's one guy's the guy that was taking the hormones or something like something that happened with him more in detail than just people were mean to them and like just so when people listen to this they can get an idea of like okay they just didn't laugh at them they actually did this or something I don't know
20-second rushes were a thing, especially in the showers or in the gym in the corner. I know this kid was walking through the shower bay at one point, and someone called a 20-second rush on him, and multiple students attacked this other student, and the staff just either weren't around or weren't paying attention or didn't care. And they didn't get in trouble. The kid was also too scared to tell who it was that beat him up.
was it the students called 20-second rush or is it a staff member that says 20 seconds rush and the staff walks
Students.
out students okay
Call it. hmm
okay that someone else mentioned that rush thing and I thought maybe the staff members were the ones that called it and they walked away I didn't realize it was the students.
Did that person have a robe on, or were they just naked in the shower?
No, they had their clothes with them.
Okay, okay, because man, it's to hit that hard floor.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. Well, I remember when I first got to Agape, like this in the old dorms, and I remember my biggest fear of everything was the showers, and I was so worried it was going to be like prison showers where everyone's naked in there. I remember when I walked into the showers and it was a single stall with a curtain. I was so relieved because like just the way I was raised and stuff like that. Like my nudity was something I did not want to be on the show for everybody. So I don't know how the new showers are there. Are they like individual stalls or is it a group thing?
When I left, there were half wooden doors and they were filling them back in with curtains when I left. Just
That's
individual. So
That's good.
But Brian did take the doors off of the toilet stalls.
Someone else, Lucas mentioned that, right? Like, why did they do that?
You know, this guy Brian, he's like a turd that won't flush. You know, he just seems to just come up in every discussion we have with people.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. Do you know why they took the doors off the bathrooms of all places?
The staff said because students were writing on the inside of the doors, and Brian didn't like it, and so he took them off.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I remember it happened too when I was there. You know, not the doors coming off, but kids writing on someone scratched on something on one of the doors and knowing who it was. So like we all got like group PT for it. But dang, that's I don't know why it just really irritates me. Like hearing like how like especially being discriminated against for the whole gay thing. Like that is just I don't know why that just pisses me off more than some of the other stuff that I've been hearing. 'Cause
James, it's a Christian thing. You know what I mean?
yeah,
That's how they're raised. Homosexuals are an abomination. That's what they say. That's what the Bible teaches. So, it's not like we need to love them. No, we need to
right.
hate them. That's what we need to do. And people are raised that way. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? They don't give them a choice, basically. And that's the
true.
problem. That's the problem.
Right. And now that you're out in the real world, like living your life and stuff like that, like are you okay, or are you so afraid of saying that you're gay because of all the stuff that happened there?
Well, I'm living with my dad now, and he was not supportive, like I said before, of sending me to the boarding school at all. Actually, on my third or second day, he called me. He called the school and threatened them that if they didn't let me talk to him right then, he's going to come pick me up. And so they let me talk to him, which is against the rules. It's supposed to be a 30-day period before. Right. But he completely accepts me. I'm living out at his house. I'm openly gay. All his friends know. All my friends know. And I'm just having a great life,
Good.
So good
yeah,
to hear,
absolutely.
man.
Mm-hmm.
That's really good to hear.
I'm actually going to visit my mom over Thanksgiving, which I haven't told her yet. She still thinks that I'm fixed. So I don't know if I'm going to tell her or not. I don't know how she would react to that. I am 18 now, so she couldn't send me to a boarding school. But
Did you have to pretend that you were fixed in order to get out of there, or?
oh, definitely, 100%.
Okay, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Really? Wow.
So I guess they said, oh, I successfully prayed the gay away. Yeah, that's
Mm-hmm.
great. Yeah, what a bunch of assholes.
Man, that's interesting. Well, I mean, whatever you choose to do with her, like that, I'm glad that you're being you and you're not afraid. Because so many kids, when they get out of school, like they think that school still has a grip on them, and they're so afraid of just being open, being whatever they want to be, or expressing themselves. They have that fear. Even after being 18, I still would. Even up until I'm 37 now, I still randomly, like maybe once a year, I'll have a dream that somehow, some way, my family went to court and they had the court sign an order to send me back to Agape. And I'm there, and I can't leave, and I can't get out, and I can't do anything. I wake up in a cold sweat. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
when I hear kids get out and they're like, "Oh man, I'm living my life. I'm doing it. I'm happy. I'm me." Like, dude, like props to you, man. That's awesome to hear.
Are you seeing a therapist for some of the nightmares and stuff, Joe?
No, when I got out, I actually went. My mom took me out of the boarding school and sent me to a military academy for about 5 months, and that was right before COVID started. And so I got out in the middle of COVID, and I had no idea what was going on. But while I was there, it was a very open place. Not a Christian organization. It was just a military academy, and there were therapists there that I talked to about it and tried to get rid of some of the thoughts and the mentality of how I was when I was there. Even now, I can't eat peanut butter or Cheerios. I can't stand in a tiled room without standing in one tile. I can't look at a wall long enough. So I look at a wall, and after a few seconds, I have to look away because I can't be against that wall again. It just puts me right back in Agape.
Hold on,
Wait.
standing on one tile.
Yeah, this is my first time hearing that one too.
Well, during cleanups, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, we would all line up in the dining hall and stand in tiles, in lines. In our company's lines, we would all have to stand in one tile at attention. Just every single meal. Every single meal.
And with the wall, sounds like you spent some time on the wall while you're there.
I spent quite a bit of time on the wall, actually, especially in my last days, because I went academic because I just wasn't doing my schoolwork because I saw no point in it. I wasn't going to get any credits because I was being pulled out a month earlier before my time. Can't remember the correct words, but so I didn't. My last couple of weeks there, I was in Browntown, standing on walls, not doing schoolwork because I saw no point in doing schoolwork. So Julio put me on the wall, said, "All right, you want to do this? You're going to stand on the wall for quite a bit of time on your last days." And throughout my 2 years there, I spent quite a bit of time, especially during the evenings and everything. I ate my dinner, ate my lunch there. So,
Wow.
Like for what? Like what? Because I remember when kids got put on the wall, it had to be something kind of severe that they did, like, or just really pissed off a staff member, really, that to get put on the wall. Like, what were some of the things that you were doing that were resulting in you getting put on the wall?
well, I hung out with Devin a lot. You already had him on the show. I was part of his friend group. We had a pretty good friend group going, and we sat at the same table every single day, and we talked about just random stuff, and, like, sometimes drugs would come up, and we would just talk about it jokingly, not being sincere. But Julio, he can read lips, and he read my lips saying the word cocaine one time, sent a student who messed with me a lot, so I never took him seriously. I never took that student seriously. He sent a student over and told me, go to the wall or you're going to be demoted. And I thought he was joking, so I just sat there. And then Julio yelled, Lampson, brown tables, you're demoted. Because I wouldn't go to the wall because that student that messed with me had told me.
And the thing is, you could have said Rogaine, and it probably wouldn't have mattered.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You probably would have mistook it as cocaine.
Yeah.
He definitely watched me and paid more attention to me. And he split our friend group up and said if we hung out around each other, he'd demote us all. So.
Yeah, they would do that there. If you became too friendly with some other guys, you just had your clique, they would purposely break you up. And then if you didn't listen to them, like, they would put you all into talking. Like, fine, and if you were caught looking at each other, smiling at each other, they made your life a living hell. It's like, and the mind games too. Like, I remember the one time they put me on the wall. Like, I was like a goody two shoes, never got in trouble, and they put me on the wall for a free time on a Friday night. It just literally, the boot camp guy that ran boot camp yelled across the dining hall, like, Griffey, get on the wall. And I stood up like, yes, sir. And I went and got on the wall and stood there all free time, not asking questions. And turned out he was just trying to test me to see if I'd throw an attitude. And since I didn't throw an attitude, he promoted me to what they used to call his junior staff. So, like, it totally screwed with my mind, like, it's, oh man, dude, it's crazy. And so it's cool that you have the relationship with your dad. Like, after all this, like, he supported you before you went in there and after, and, like, you're with him now. Like, what are his viewpoints on the boarding school? And, like, does he think it helped you? Like,
he absolutely hated it. He was not supportive of it at all. When my mom said, all right, we're going to go take him to look at the school, he was like, all right, but don't drop him off there because I don't support it. While I was there, I had to get stitches in my toe for something, and they sent the bill to my dad, and he wouldn't pay for it because he didn't send me to the school. He's like, his mom has to pay for it because she's the one who sent him there.
right.
And so he actually told me that if you wanted to leave, just tell me. But I didn't. I was too scared that my mom was going to convince them to keep me there anyways because she's the one who sent me there. And so I didn't want to try to get my dad to come get me. So.
Right, because if by chance you did tell your dad I want out, word got to your mom would tell the boarding school, and your life would be even more of a living hell, I'm assuming, right? Like, if you're trying to ask your parents to take you home and they found out about it, oh my gosh.
Absolutely. Some of the letters that I wrote home had been censored and crossed out and sent back to me. Not even for saying, hey, this place sucks, come get me. Just for other things like, well, I don't believe this part of the Bible. And then they would send it back to me and say, you can't send this to them. So.
Man, talk about censorship, right, Jason? Like, they
talk about fanatics.
Yeah, like, not even saying, like, yeah, I only agree with this part of the Bible. And, like, no, you can't send this home. Rewrite this. Like,
Wow.
Oh my gosh, dude.
Baptist. That's Baptist for you.
Yeah.
Were you what dorm were you in?
We didn't have specific dorms while I was there. It was one entire room just filled with beds.
Oh, okay.
So it was just called the dorm room and or dorm floor, and it was just a whole room. There were bunk beds on the walls because you didn't want bunk beds in the middle, so you could see through. So they just had single beds in the middle, bunk beds on the walls. And while I was there, I tried to sleep on the bunk beds next to walls because I felt more security. I didn't want to be crept up on by a staff member and thrown out of bed for having like contraband or whatever, because they would do that. They would wake you up in the middle of the night, search your bed, let you go back to sleep.
What's considered contraband, though?
Anything that's not pretty much in the Bible. So any books that aren't religious, basically. And I had a lot of books. Books were kind of my escape, and so I liked just Western books and stuff. But anything that wasn't Christian delegated, or was like a score key, or pens that were the wrong color, like a red pen or a green pen. I know this one kid had a book. It was like an anime type style book, and they ripped it up and called it a demon like summoning book. And one kid had drawings that he drew years. He had years worth of work in this notebook, and they ripped it up in seconds because he had like a skull in it.
So how did this stuff get in? I remember when I was there, like kids would sneak stuff in periodically, but like, was it Louis L'Amour books or something like that? There was like these Western books that they used to allow us to read there, like these old Western books. But like, you're saying that you couldn't have any of that stuff. Like, wasn't some of the stuff given to you?
We could have Louis L'Amour books because they said he was a Christian author or whatnot. We could have Narnia books, like other books like Life of Pi, but that was an edgy book. They were very edgy on that one. But books probably like I don't know.
Are you talking
if they had cuss words in it.
Are you talking about the Chronicles of Narnia?
Yeah.
That's a Christian thing.
There's a lot of people that think that's witchcraft, but okay.
They say it's a Christian thing because of the lion and everything.
The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe also?
Mm-hmm.
Pilgrim's Progress. Did you have Pilgrim's Progress?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was a roll-off thing. Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Oh. That's and so you're saying at night they would literally just wake you up and search your stuff, and like kick you out of bed, search your stuff. Like, that's so weird, man. I wonder why they would wait till like middle of the night to just all of a sudden be like, "Hey, Joe, like wake up." I mean, would they turn on the lights, or they would just wake you up individually and have to get up?
Wake you up individually. Some of the students didn't even know what was going on, but they would wake you up in the middle of the night so you wouldn't see it coming, so you didn't have time to hide your contraband. So if you had it like under your pillow or anything, you didn't have time to hide it. You know? Which I slept on a wall. I slept with my head against the wall on the top bunk. And so where I folded my sheets underneath my bed, there was a little pocket against the wall and behind my bed that I could stuff things in. And I had tons of books and pictures and what else did I have? I had toys that you couldn't have, like tech decks. It got banned. Fidget spinners got banned. I had all of that behind my bed, and I never got caught with it. And the day I left, he's like, "All right, go get your stuff." And I went in, and he was like, "Oh, so that was where your contraband was." So I'm pretty sure I ruined a bunch of kids' contraband hiding spots.
Dang.
So.
Were you ever floored?
Yeah.
Floored? No. No, I strictly tried to avoid that. Very strictly.
Awesome.
I was not. I saw this one kid, small, skinny kid, and they handled him so roughly. He came out, bruises all over his arms, side, neck, everywhere. And they tried covering it up. Every time he went outside, they're like, "You have to wear a sweater. You can't show those bruises." Because they didn't want other people to see the bruises on him.
Who would be these other people that would see it? Like the students or staff members, or I mean off campus?
Visitors, I suppose, like parents, visitors, people that are looking at the school or whatnot.
Was that sheriff there? What was that sheriff?
Sheriff
Graves.
Graves. Not Graves.
You know what I'm talking about, right, James?
Yeah, David Graves, right?
Graves?
Like, or
Yeah.
Robert Graves. Sorry.
Graves. Okay.
Two Graveses, so.
Oh, really?
There might be. I know there's a ex-firefighter and a police officer, and I think they might be brothers or whatnot. But there was police there. Yeah. Especially towards the end, they brought more police in for like working at night or whatnot because they were running low on staff because the staff were leaving them.
Wait,
So
say that again. They had the police come and work at the school to help out because staff were leaving. So the police, but I'm
yep,
assuming off-duty police were coming in, right? That wasn't while they're
right.
on duty.
But
That,
they
that
definitely brought in. They had their guns and stuff with them, and they walked in, especially on night shifts, because a lot of the staff were leaving. They were like, "We don't want to do this anymore," and they left. And a lot of the police officers were coming in.
You know what, James? I kind of wonder if those cops were getting paid by them. If they are, that's a
sure,
violation of the church and state.
for sure, and that is having them come in and work, paying them,
Well,
and then those are the same.
allegedly. I mean, if they
Yeah,
were
yeah, that's
paying
true.
them.
Maybe they're coming in for free and volunteer working, and maybe they weren't coming getting paid. But either way, like having them that involved in the school
Yeah.
and that supportive of something that they're supposed to be monitoring, right? So if all of a sudden, like Joe here puts in a child abuse report, it goes to the Stockton Police Department. These are the cops that are there that are getting it. So they're already in bed with Agape, and they're the ones that are responsible for going to the CHP and saying, "Hey, we had a child abuse report come through for Agape boarding school. You need to investigate this." If they're, what I'm saying, so that I'm
Well,
really wondering.
and probably they did, and they probably came back and said, "Oh, there's no abuse. It was just some kid
Right.
mouthing off."
Well,
So,
that's something that we're about to start working on right now is asking like guys like you, Joe, and whatever that have witnessed or even experienced themselves abuse at the school to file reports and log those reports. Like log that. Hey, I sent this in, take screenshots of it, whatever, and submit those. And hopefully, the Stockton police will do something with it. But if they're not, then at least we have a record of these reports being submitted.
sure.
Therefore,
And these
we'll see what
podcasts,
happens.
these podcasts as well. They can, they can
Right.
get them at any time.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I remember Browntown is the main abuse moments because there's only one or two staff in there at a time, and so other staff that are actually sincere about their job couldn't see it or not. I remember one of the Browntown staff, his favorite thing in the world to make you do is called log rolls, and they would make you roll and roll and roll until you threw up, and make you roll through your throw up. And if you stopped rolling, he would come up and kick you to get you keep rolling.
So you're just on the ground, just make sure I get a mental picture. You're just on the ground, causing yourself to roll over and over and over again, like what on the basketball court, just back and forth.
Up and down. And
if you stop,
you threw up, yeah, you roll right through it.
Wow. That's, oh my gosh. And
go ahead.
so bad.
Go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say like duck walks and all that kind of stuff, like that having you do like burpees and everything too. But yeah, that anyways. No, I have nothing to add to that. That's just I just can't believe they have people roll through their own vomit. And then but to report on that, so there's only those two staff members there, but then there's multiple kids, right? So there's could be like 5 or 10 kids at a time that are all experiencing this. So it's not like it's just you and two staff members. There is a group of kids. So if they all came out and said something like, "Hey, like yeah, this is exactly what happened," or what they do, that's valid in my opinion.
The staff members would believe the other staff members' word over the kids.
So if you tried to tell the staff members that were nice, "Hey man, they're doing this stuff," and then the other staff was like, "No, we're not. We didn't beat him up. We didn't do that. He's exaggerating." Like they would always take their, and that screws with your head, dude. Like that screws with your head. You get to a point where you just don't trust people. You don't think anyone's going to take your side. No one cares. Like, it totally is a mind f.
Yeah, and the thing is, that follows you out of Agape as well. Your trust issues and everything. And you're right, James. It is a mind fuck. It is. It's awful,
Absolutely.
man.
Yeah. All these years later, I still have trust issues. Like, so I mean, not to make you sound make it sound bad for you, Joe. Like that. All these years later, like hopefully you're able to deal with it better than I did over the years. But still, like trust issues and like confinement issues and feeling trapped. Like all these years later, and that stuff that I learned at Agape, that's just stuck with me. So it's like, it's cool. I appreciate the fact that you're even talking. You know, like I know it's a big deal to come out and say this stuff and talk about it. You know, but I know it means a lot. Just as you're watching the other guys interviews and stuff like that, and I know like it means a lot to the guys. Like, because I see the posts and like the likes and comments and who's viewed it and stuff whenever I post it on the different pages, and it's a big deal. So I appreciate like having the balls to do this. You know.
And people are watching. I noticed the channel is growing. It is growing. So people are watching this. So.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey.
Yeah. So, you had a buddy, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Was he a nice guy, or was he not so nice?
He was a nice guy. Yeah. While I was there, I actually I had a buddy at one point, and then I couldn't. I was banned from having a buddy because Julio said I couldn't build a better relationship with any other guy because I was gay, and so he stopped giving me the ability to guide someone through the school.
Oh, you mean you were the buddy? Like you were supervising somebody and showing them the ropes, and they decided no because you're gay. You can't get close to any guys here.
Yep.
This is
ridiculous.
I don't know what to say, James. This is maddening. I mean, this is.
I knew it would be bad when you give me the basic summary of like what you were going to talk about today. I knew it was going to be bad, but I didn't know they were going to be so many things dictated because of your sexual orientation. You know, like so much of it, and then just having it linger over your head, and like you're trying to get ahead, trying to do things there, and they're just like, no, because you're gay, you can't do that. You know,
it really restricts you, I guess, over there.
Yeah, that's irritating, dude. Like that's so like you're handling it so well. Like you just seem so calm right now talking about it, but like I'm sure you've like dealt with it and experienced it for so long now that it's just like I'd be so still if I were you, I'd be so freaking pissed off, you know. But
did you ever hear about the infamous Jurassic elbow?
There was an older staff that mentioned it at some point, but he only mentioned it like once or twice, and towards the end he left, and I never saw him again. But he was a good staff. He was actually a pretty good staff. You know, he tried not to be mean to kids. You know, he tried to actually do his job. But that's where I heard it. So.
I'm sure not all the staff was bad.
No, absolutely not.
But I'm sure there was a couple of them. You know, we all know Brian and what was the other guy? Seth? Was it Seth?
Yep.
Seth. Yeah. And Julio.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So. Yeah.
But that's like you're saying, like they're not all bad, and that's the thing too. Like, like you know Jim Clemenson, right? Like the main guy, like you know, knowing that he has cancer and stuff like that. Like, I know it sounds crazy to say this, Jason, but when I was like reading about that, like, kind of broke my heart a little bit. You know, like even though he's the guy that's running this boarding school, like my interactions with Jim Clemenson like were never bad. Like he was always seemed to be a nice guy. He always, even though all this stuff was happening underneath his roof, you know, he wasn't there doing the restraints. He wasn't there beating up the kids or anything like that. So when I heard that, like, he has cancer and he's like dying and stuff, like, I'll be honest, like, I feel bad. My heart breaks. I'm like, dude, that's sad.
Well, you know, James, it's because you're not a sadistic prick. You know what I mean? You're a nice guy, and you feel for people that way. That's the way it's supposed to be. You know,
right.
And I'm sure a lot of those staffers that were, you know, probably had good intentions and trying to help these kids. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And
Definitely.
there were some that were just sadistic shitbags. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah.
But what can you do? The ones that were in charge, basically, were the ones that were the pricks. You know? So, it's, you know, if you value your job, basically, you know, you're going to do what you say. So.
And another thing that is a huge thing in the school is the student authority. because the students having the ability to punish other students below them is not something I think you should grant to those students, because if they're getting harassed or whatnot, or being favored by the staff, they're going to be mean to the other kids.
Oh yeah.
And punish them wrongly, which happened quite a bit.
It's like Lord of the Flies, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that too. I was one of those kids that got put into a position of authority, and like you basically, they reward you and they pump you up the more that you get kids in trouble, rat on them and punch them and whatnot. Like more like that. Yeah, you're like their little minion, going out there doing their bidding and doing things. And yeah, I agree with you. I don't think it's right either, having kids in authority, but also like hearing about these stories about where they're having kids beat up other kids, putting them in the padded room and just saying, here, have at it, beat them up, and leaving them, and I'm sure those kids, if they didn't beat up the other kids that they're being told to beat up, like they would probably get in trouble, So it's like you feel this pressure where you have to do it, So it's messed up. It really breeds this terrible environment where you just don't want to be. You don't want to be the butt of everything, right? You don't want to be the one that's getting your butt beat and thrown and restrained and stuff. So you're kind of hoping the next person's it, and if you can encourage them to be the one getting beat up, it's kind of better for yourself, And so,
and to piggyback on that, James, I mean, when you get sent to a Christian environment, it's supposed to be a wholesome, loving, environment. You're supposed to feel safe.
yeah,
Supposedly.
right. Especially as a child too. Like when you're a kid, with your teenage years, you're vulnerable. You're learning. You're figuring yourself out, like your emotions and everything like that. And then to be put in a position where you're these adults that are over you, you're supposed to be trusting them, and they're supposed to be building you up, and but to have the opposite of that happening, where they're breaking you down, condemning you for being the way that you are, and like it just, the psychological that happens with that just really, it does so much damage that you can't just put on a piece of paper. You can't really define it too much. You just experience it years and years and years in the future, and you look back and you're just like, oh damn, that was from the boarding school. Like really, like I'm still like, that's still bothering me all this time later. Like I thought I'd be over it. So
it's like PTSD,
yeah.
Yeah.
I never understood that, like military PTSD, and then with all stuff, hearing all these stories from the guys from the school and what they went through and like what they're still going through and what they still experience. I'm like, oh my God, you're right. PTSD from this, like it's a real thing.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It just doesn't happen with the military. It's things like this as well. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a real thing. So. So, Joe, how's your life been now? You said your life is good.
My life is pretty good. I wasn't able to get an high school diploma because of the boarding school.
Yeah.
Because I was sent when I was 15, and left when I was 16, 17.
Yeah.
I spent the entire year of 2019 at the boarding school, and that really dwarfed my education, because the education program there is very, very it's pace based, and
it's garbage. It's garbage.
Yep. If you didn't memorize the Bible verse, if you got that wrong, you failed the whole test. So
yeah. Wow. So when you got out, you went to school, like you got out and tried to go to normal high school, or
no, because when I got out, I was 17, and
military school.
She sent me to a military school, where I got quite a few credits there. So, and it was just an online thing that would have been easier for them to do, and that was better for me. So I still didn't get enough, and now I have to get a GED and a job and all this. Whereas if I had just stayed in regular school, I would have been prepared for it. Because it doesn't prepare you for the world at all.
The reason why they use that PACE program, because when I was at the Christian school, I had It was ACE, Accelerated Christian Education, was
Yep.
what it was called.
Yep.
And the reason why they use it because it's a Christian. It's more of a homeschooling type of program, basically. And a lot of Christian parents don't just homeschool their kids till they're high school age and then send them to a regular high school. Usually they homeschool them all the way through high school, and they graduate on the program. So when you're going through this program and like you did, you left, those credits are not going to transfer to a secular school. They're not, because it's a Christian-based program. They won't take
Yep.
it.
Yeah.
Lucky for me, when I went there, I was in elementary school. When I went to the Christian school in Texas, so we didn't have the credits basically. So when I went to junior high, it was a clean slate. So I was able to start from there. Thank goodness,
Yeah.
Because if it was a high school part, I'd probably would have had to go back a couple of years to redo it. So
They actually send there's just little kids there now too, just for like lying or cheating or stealing like a candy bar or something. They'll send them to that boarding school at a super young age, and it's a toxic environment to be in because all of these older kids that know all of these things, like they know about porn and drugs, and it's just influencing these other kids into that lifestyle and just making them worse. So it's
that does make for a toxic environment, all right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember, like having kids there, like, it's just sad, being there like 9 years old, 10 years old, and like these kids are being sent to the school because, like you said, they just did something wrong at home or upset their parents, or maybe they were adopted and their parents don't want them anymore, or whatever it is, and now they're at the school where I don't know how it is now, but back then it used to be like game bangers and stuff there. So there's hardcore kids there, and these little boys are getting sent there, and they're being treated just like a teenager boy would be, like, getting restrained and having to follow the same rules, standing on the wall for hours at a time, and like not being able to live as a child whatsoever, being forced to grow up and conform. And it's just, I can only imagine what it does to them mentally.
Mm-hmm. I remember this one kid, I think he might have been 12, and he got sent there, and he was a pretty good kid, pretty clean, and then within a few days, he was swearing and talking about drugs and talking about girls and what you're doing with them and just all these things that he shouldn't have known yet. And I was just shocked. I was like, okay, what happened? I thought this kid was going to be a pretty good kid to be around, and then he changed completely. So,
Well, with the age of the internet, it's not like it used to be when you got the magazines you hid under your bed. You know what I mean?
mm-hmm,
Yeah, it's true.
Now you could just a couple of clicks away and it's all free. There's no filters, there's no nothing.
Yeah.
So these kids they're getting younger and younger. These porn watchers, basically, they're younger and younger now.
Yeah.
And that's dangerous. You know what I mean? That's a dangerous combination there. But
right, and putting these kids around a bunch of older kids too. Imagine just nowadays taking a 9-year-old and all of a sudden putting them in a high school with a bunch of juniors and seniors and saying, okay, now this is your class you're with now, and these are your peers you're hanging out with. Like, what is that going to do to that 9-year-old? There's no more Legos and Transformers or whatever. Like they're just like, now they're talking about drugs, girls, whatever.
They have nothing in common, basically. You know what I mean? A 10-year-old's got nothing in common with a 17-year-old. It's they do different things. Like you said, 9 or 10-year-old play with their toys. A 17-year-old talks about porn and girls. So.
Right. And at the school, you weren't allowed to do that. You weren't, like, if you had your toys, you had your whatever. Like, they may give you like 1 or 2 toys as a kid to be able to keep or hang out with, whatever. But and imagine like because the school pushes for you to be there till you graduate. So imagine being sent to Agape when you're 9 or 10 years old, and you're like, it's like you're here till you graduate. You're at the school.
You spend your entire young adulthood and the entire period of how you're being influenced, because all of that you're highly open to influence.
Sure.
Right.
So definitely, yeah.
You're
Yeah.
moldable, basically.
Very, yeah.
Yeah. So they force Jesus down your throat. More than likely, if you're young enough, you're going to believe it.
Hmm.
Some of the kids that are already there that have seen what it's like out there in the real world, they're not gonna take to that. You know what I mean? They're too busy doing other things. They don't care about Jesus. But the younger ones, you know, that's what they want. Get them while they're young. That's what Roloff used to say. Get them while they're young.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Because
Well, there was a kid there when I went back when I was going there. He was I think he got sent there when he was like 8, and he had been there for like 2 or 3 years before I got there. And there was no life in this kid. Like he was just like a zombie. If you I mean, like no energy that you would think out of a typical like 10, 11 year old. Like no, none of that. Like he was just a zombie. He just was numb. He just didn't care. His parents had kept him there, and they told him he's staying there till he graduates. So it was so depressing, you know. So like thankfully you were able to go there when you're a little bit older, you know, and like weren't there for so long, but still it's crazy. And on that GED point you made earlier about having to get that, like you're not alone, dude. I just posted the video we did yesterday in a Agape group. That I don't think Agape knows that I'm in this group anymore, Jason, on Facebook. It's for Agape friends and family. It's a group that Agape started,
uh,
and this is when I was on good terms with Agape before they had me in this group, and they just never took me out. So it's all parents with kids at Agape or that went to Agape, and so I posted that video we did yesterday, and in there, and a mom commented, said, "Hey, you know, my son was there from I think 2016, 2017.
yeah,
But she's like, I wish I would have kept him there longer because when he got out, he had a problem graduating, and he had to get a GED. I wish he would have stayed there to graduate." And that got me thinking. I'm like, oh, they have a good system there, because if you try to leave early, really you can't go into normal high school and get a normal diploma. So you should stay at Agape and graduate and get a diploma from them. That way you could say you have a high school diploma.
yeah.
But it's like
Hmm.
it's a weird trap that you get stuck in. You know, I wonder how many kids left, and and of course you're gonna be labeled as that you weren't so successful. Oh, you got a GED. You left here and got a GED, and it's like, well, no, they only got a GED because the education you gave them wasn't transferable to the
Yeah,
public school system. You know, like
yeah,
ah,
yeah.
irritates me.
The education there was trash, so no one's going to pick it up. So yeah,
Yeah,
it does kind of paints the parents in a corner. You know what I mean? It's like,
right.
Yeah.
okay, well, shit, I've already spent this much money. I might as well leave him there until he graduates.
Yeah.
So it sucks. It really
Yeah,
does.
They'll even offer your parents money, like, hey, we'll help you out financially if you don't have enough money to keep your kid here. They'll be like, oh, we'll pay you a little bit extra if you can't pay all.
Right.
So,
wow.
Well, they're already making a ton of money as it is, so I guess they can do that.
yep.
But
That's
James,
true.
that thing with the family thing, man, that thing with the discussion with Lucas yesterday, man, that was brutal, man. I
Yeah, I posted that in there. I
yeah,
waited. Because with Facebook, I'm not Facebook, with YouTube, when you share the video,
yeah,
you could pick the time where you want the video to start in the
right,
share link. So when they hit play, it goes there. So I started the part where he started talking about Seth, like
yeah,
beating that kid up and kneeing him in the stomach and him throwing up and restraint. So I start the video right there when they click on it. And like so far, there's 170 people in that group. That so far, when I looked 2 hours ago, like 10 people had already seen it.
yeah.
And so but one of the admins of that group is Robert Graves. So eventually he's going to see that I posted
Oh,
that there. I'm wondering what he's going to do, but I'm just going to keep posting stuff, dude. I don't care. Like
well,
I
he
was
could
nervous at first, but I'm like,
he could take it off that page, but he can't take it off mine.
right,
You know what I mean?
exactly,
Hmm.
yeah,
So, and not only do I have it there, I have it, of course, on the YouTube channel, but I also have a blog where all the videos are there as well.
that's
So,
awesome.
yeah, yeah. So I got him in 3 places.
Yeah, it's oh, man. I mean, Joe, if you know more people, like I'm sure you guys do, it's awesome that you guys just left. You're willing to come out and
Hmm.
talk about this stuff because it, in my opinion, it's more relevant than like I've said it before, like me from 20 years ago saying my story. It's a story, but
Yeah,
it's not. It's like people will assume it's changed or it's gotten better or this and that. Like, and especially nowadays with how the world is, like, and how accepting it is finally of, like, people of different sexual orientations. Like, it's just here to have the world here that there's a school that is discriminating against guys that are gay and, like, shunning it and trying to, like, that is like that's huge. That's, I mean, yeah, child abuse is a big deal, but then there's this other side that they're doing as well, the psychological abuse, and, like, that's not. I can understand if they were beating you because you're gay, but just the fact of how they were treating you and how they were kind of, like, putting you down and everything during your time there, and, like, getting you to the point where you were so uncomfortable with saying that you were gay that you were willing to put down other people that were, just like you, in order to not be discriminated against. Like, that is just, it just blows my mind that they push you that far.
You should never be put in that position, for one thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? You are who you are. That's how it is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, James, the guys that have come out just recently is more relevant. I think for one reason is, statute of limitations.
True.
You could say, James, yeah, he cut my head open when he, head butted me and stuff. There's really nothing they can do. You know what I mean? Because of the statute of limitations. But with guys like Joe here, who just got out, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They could still do some type of investigation on it because it's still fresh,
Mm-hmm.
True.
The statute of limitations hasn't run out.
It's 5 years, right? Or is it?
No, you said 17, right? 2017?
Oh, no, I'm saying, but the statute of limitations is 5 years, right?
Well, it depends on the state. It depends on the offense. I mean, there's some that don't have statutes. Like murder doesn't have a statute of limitations. Rape, I think, has like 5 or 6 years. As far as abuse, mental abuse or physical abuse, I'm not sure. I'd have to look at the statutes for Missouri to see. But I'm sure it's if I was to have an educated guess, it would probably be maybe 5 or 6 years, maybe. That's something I'd have to look into. But like you said, you went there. Did you say 2019, Joe?
2017.
17.
No, 2018. My bad.
Okay.
I said 2017,
Okay.
but it was 2018.
So that's only 2 years. So it could still be it could still be in place. You know what I mean? So
Well, I left 2019.
Oh,
Or
not to sound bad, but that's even better.
I left
Because
20.
because it's still
Twenty?
that's even better. I mean, because you I mean, if enough of these kids can I don't know who they would talk to, or to write a letter to somebody and say this is what's going on. Here's I did a podcast with this guy. Take a listen to it or whatever.
Right.
They might decide to look at it and maybe do some sort of investigation.
Mm-hmm.
So
Actually,
you said something with Lucas on that, didn't you, James?
Yeah, well, actually, someone just sent me some today. Amanda, householder, sent me a thing today about it's a child abuse hotline in Missouri. That's in Missouri. So let me see if I can get that number. Maybe just like.
Yeah, give it. Yeah. I could put it in the description. That way, in case anybody watches this.
Yeah, you ready for it? Yeah, that way they can hear it. Let me know when you're ready. I can give it to you.
Go right ahead.
Yeah, so it's on the website. It says 1-800-392-3738.
All right. I'll put that in the description.
Yeah, or there's online mandatory. So if you just go to like Missouri.gov or it's dss.mo.gov. And then I'm sure it will say on there, child abuse if you look for it. But that's that. Oh, go ahead.
I'll put the link and I'll get it done. Definitely, definitely.
So the more that people talk about this, the better. It's like, it's no matter how many times I hear from you guys that just left, like it still is raw. Like it's still every time it's not getting old hearing these stories because it's like every time it's like it feels like a fresh new like cut being opened up because it's like just sucks, man.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry you had to go through that. I'm sorry you had to deal with that. Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
it wasn't your fault. So, now, did your mother go to a Baptist church, or did she hear it from a church? You said she heard it
Her,
from her mother or something.
well, she was looking for places to send me. She found it easily, obviously, because it's one of the most paid, and it's probably up on Google or search
On the
really
top
easily.
page, yeah.
My grandmother said she found it like before she even knew that that's where my mom was going to send me. She said, "Oh, I want this place," and my mom's like, "Well, I just decided that too." So, but she actually grew up with a preacher father. My grandfather is a preacher, and she grew up in that home, and so she strongly believes it. So,
Okay.
Interesting.
What
And,
about
and
what about your dad?
my dad, no, he's not a religious guy. You know, he believes that if you're a good guy, then you're good. You know, if he says as long as I'm happy and as long as I'm thriving in life, that's all he cares about. You know.
That's
Yeah.
how you raise a kid, man. That's how you raise a
right,
kid.
right.
You know,
That's all.
kids are going to have faults. You know what I mean? They're going to screw up. You know, I have two kids of my own. Trust me, I know. You know, but you never stop loving them, and you don't send them somewhere
Mhm.
like that. You know.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Or even if they do go, they come back. That's another thing too. Like you mentioned this before, Jason. Like people don't. The parents think they're sending their kid to a good place. Even if they send them there and the kid goes through it and they come out and they like if you're a parent listening to this, like listen to your kid. Like
Yeah.
it's like they come back and say I was abused, this happened there. Don't take some preacher word that you just known for the past 2 to 3 years, that you're paying thousands of dollars a month to take care of your kid. Don't take their word over your child.
Yeah.
Like like listen to your kid, like let them like speak out about what went on. I think that's another thing that with so many of these guys that get out of school is they're afraid to say anything because it's like they've gone the years at the school with like they're being suppressed on what they can tell their parents or the parents not believing them when they do speak to get out and be like, oh man, I can't say anything.
Especially,
Go ahead.
okay, especially my mom. I've been on the phone and I've actually cried over the phone and asked my mom to take me out of there, and she's like, "I don't believe you. Those are crocodile tears. You're lying to me." And it just kind of really built a barrier. And after that, I just didn't really talk about it to her at all. You know,
Yeah.
told her, "Oh yeah, I'm fine, doing great."
You know,
Yeah.
whenever your child comes to you and says stuff like that, James, you don't dismiss it. I mean,
Right.
even if you don't believe them, check it out. You know what I mean? Check it
Right.
out. And even if that person, let's say you go to Agape and say, "This is what my son has been saying," you know, and they say, "Well, no, he's not. He's just no." Keep digging.
Right.
You know, keep digging because something's wrong. I mean, your child is just not going to say something like that. At least I don't think
Right.
so.
Right. Just make it up, like and
Yeah.
have a detailed description of what happened. But that's the thing there. Like you're there at Agape, you're experiencing this stuff. This stuff is happening to you. You try to speak out about it. They shut you down, and then you just get to a point where you're like, wait, so maybe my way to get out of Agape is not to complain and try to tell them what's really happening. I need to pretend like I'm fixed. I'm better now. I'm not a rebellious teenager. So you put on this facade and you go along. You listen to the preaching. You memorize the Bible verses. You do everything to conform to hoping that your parents see that you're a better person, a better kid now. And like now they'll take me home. But by doing that, you've suppressed everything about who you are and how you are, and you've become this completely false person with the hopes that your parents take you out of there. And it's just, and then to try to go back after that, and they take you home and like, oh, you're glad you graduated, or you're a good kid now, and you're like, oh yeah, well they abused me there, and they treated me differently because I was gay, and they shunned me for this and everything. Like, whoa, wait a second, you can't flip your script like that when you get out of school. You almost got to keep the facade going, that the school fixed you and that you're better now, talk about it.
Well, it should raise a red flag. I mean, did your parents get letters from you that were blacked out, Or you just had to rewrite them?
I had to rewrite them. They
Okay.
they would tear them up and then make me rewrite the letters. So
All right. I thought maybe if it was blacked out, that would kind of be like a red flag. Say, okay, something's going on here.
yeah, definitely right.
So
Mhm.
Yeah.
this is the time when ghostwriting would have been good. You know what I mean? Do like an impression on another piece of paper on that other
Right.
side. That way you just get a pencil and you can see it, you know. But,
Yeah. Right.
you know, a little late now. But just a bit of, I guess, a bit of advice for kids that are in
Yeah.
there. So,
I've heard of people like trying to, like, kids would try to somehow, some way
yeah.
send a message to the parents, like try to sneak it in there some way, like, or they would write something that they knew they would never, like, I would never say this to my family, but they're writing it in there with the hopes that it would raise an alarm to their family. Like, wait a
Right.
second, something's not right here. He would never say this, you know?
Yeah.
But
I did a podcast with a girl who was at the Bethesda home, and she said that her parents told her, if you're having any problems, misspell the word deer.
oh, interesting.
So, and when she started having problems, she spelled it DEER. And the next, a couple of days later, they were there.
Wow.
So, yeah.
There's some good parents right there.
Yeah.
They put her there with the idea that this might not be a good fit, but you may not be able to speak out about it. So this is a way
My
of letting.
dad, he gave me a code word to say over the phone. He's like, if something's going wrong, just talk about our dead dog. But I was too scared that if I had said that, and then my mom heard that my dad was coming to pick me up, and the school was like, hey, his dad is here, she'd be like, oh, don't let him go, you know? So
Yeah.
I was too scared that they wouldn't, because of the divorce, that they would side with my mom because she's a woman.
Did she have custody of you, or did your dad have custody?
I'm not really sure. I assume they both have custody over me. But she definitely gave some of the custody over to the boarding school, and I'm assuming since she was paying them that the boarding school would trust her more and say, okay, we're going to listen to this girl and not you, you know? So.
I hear you.
I'm wondering, like, and when you said you're afraid of, just so like what were you afraid of? So hypothetically speaking, say your dad came to try to take you out. They got in touch with your mom. She said, no, he's staying there, right? What were you, like, you weren't, I'm sure you weren't just afraid of that situation. Like, what were you afraid of what was going to happen at the school if they did that? Like, what do you think would have happened?
I was afraid that they were going to keep me there for longer than she actually did and demote me and put me down more and just kind of pay more special attention to me because I tried to escape them. So
You rather not risk the chance of having your dad potentially come get you and save, like, you didn't want to take the chance. He could have came and saved you and got you out of there, but you don't want to take that chance for fear of what you would go through.
Yeah, it might not have worked. Yeah. Exactly.
Right.
because especially when he called them and said, let me talk to my son right now, they treated me differently. I could tell. It was a couple of days. They were treating me just like a normal kid. And then it clicked. Like after that phone call, it clicked, and they were like, "Okay, this kid's he needs more attention than the other ones because he has a dad that's not willing to keep him there."
Interesting. And I got to clarify this because people watch this and like, oh, that's really nice of the school. They gave you more attention. You know, like no, not the attention that you want, right? You're talking about like, you know, like push-ups and being on the wall and being punished and looking for things that you're doing wrong, right? So it's not just that they were giving you more hugs and telling you you're a great kid, you know.
They put you under the microscope basically. Any little thing you did. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's no way to live, man. That's no way to live.
I'm glad you're out.
Yeah.
So glad
Yeah, me too.
Did you ever get a chance to talk to any girls from the Wings of Faith?
No.
You know any of them? No?
No. Well, I know one of them because they're on my Facebook, and I know because they're dating a guy that went to the boarding school, and I know the guy, and it just kind of like it said people you might know. So I was like, oh, okay. They went to Wings of Faith because I saw it's on their profile, and I'm like, oh, let me talk to them, see how it was over there, you know. So I've heard stories about the boarding school, but she told me things, and it was crazy.
Well, you're going to hear
you know?
more because I have a girl coming on tomorrow from Wings of Faith, and
Okay, that's
Sunday. Actually, I believe two of them on Sunday. So, yeah,
all
Oh,
right.
yeah, yeah,
I can't wait to hear those either. I'm really curious because I'm curious how they ran that over there and what happened over there.
yeah.
I'm really, really hoping they don't run it the same way they run Agape, but I'm pretty sure it's just a mirror image, but just for girls over there.
Well, it could be worse, man, because if you got all females and then you got the male staff, a lot of shit can
That's true.
happen, man. You know.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah,
I can't imagine that they can get away with that, having male staff super. But then again, there's Circle of Hope, right? That was ran by
yeah.
men. So, dang, dude. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. All right. Well, got anything else, Joe?
No, that's
No.
about it.
Oh, I'm glad you came on, man. I really appreciate it. Get the
Yeah.
chance to get some more of that word out there.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and
Absolutely.
just a quick question on that too. Like a final question is,
Sure.
I'm wondering why did you come on? Like what like why take the chance or to come on here and share all these? Like what were you like? Why? Like what were you hoping for? Like what's the reason?
Well, I saw it. I saw a link to like stories of the boys Agape boarding school abuse thing, and some of my friends are like, "Oh, hey, there's this podcast," and I'm like, "Really? Okay, cool. I might do that. I might not." I'm talking about it now because I feel safe. My mom can't send me back there. I'm living with my dad and everything, and so I feel like now I can openly, freely talk about it, and people actually believe me because there's other people talking about it.
That's
Because
awesome.
if it's just one person, then it's like, okay, but
Yeah.
it takes two or three to actually validate a story. And now that I see that's happening, I'm like, okay,
yeah.
I can talk about it.
I think you're the ninth one now. I think
Hmm.
eighth
Wow.
or ninth one. And you know what? I hope this podcast angers people. You know what I mean? Angers them in a way where they can say, you know what? Something's got to be done about this. Maybe there might be people that will call up the state of Missouri and say, hey, I've been watching these podcasts about what's going on at this school. Maybe you should do something about it. You know what I mean?
Right.
They might be able to get the ball rolling or whatever. So
Yeah.
I guess you could say
Definitely.
anger them in a good way. I guess if that's a phrase.
Yeah.
So
Thing. Yeah. That's okay. Yeah. I like I said earlier, I appreciate you speaking out. Just exact reason why you came on. That's why other guys have come on too. Is like now someone else is going to watch this, and now they're gonna be, oh, but Joe went on there. Okay, cool. Like now I want to go on and tell my story, and it's just like it's just, like you keep saying too, Jason. It just keeps adding to the validity of what went on there. It's not just one person, So
another piece of the puzzle. And Joe,
yeah,
like I said, the number to get a hold of me is right on top of the YouTube page. There's anybody can text me.
I sent it. I think I sent it to Lucas, and that's how I think he contacted
Yes.
you. I sent it to another person. I'm not sure if he's contacted you yet or not, but yeah,
Cool.
I definitely sent it across a couple times. So
Yeah. So
it's cool. And dude,
Awesome.
and if anything, and just know too, if anything pops up or whatever, like there's a group of us that have been out of the school for a while, like are living our lives and stuff. So if you ever need, I don't know, whatever, just advice, or you're struggling with whatever, or you just like having some like flashbacks of stuff, and you just need an event or whatever, feel free to like reach out and stuff, or or the Facebook groups that they're there as well. Just I know that it's difficult getting out into the real world and readjusting and everything, and everyone deals with it differently. So,
a good support system, from people
Yeah.
who've been there. Yeah. Definitely. All right. Joe, thanks for coming on, man.
absolutely, thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And of course, James, hats off to you, man. Thanks.
I just sit here and try to look pretty, man. You're the one running the podcast and posting it up and everything like that. So I appreciate you, dude. Like
I know,
you
but it's
do a
always
lot of
good,
work with it.
always good to have somebody who's been there. You know what I mean? Who can relate and kind of ask some questions that I wouldn't be able to. You know what I mean? I'm getting there.
Sure.
I'm
Yeah,
got some stuff going on. Been writing stuff down. But
yeah,
everybody's story is different in some ways. So, but
Yeah.
yeah, you want to? I'm going to end the podcast. You guys stay on for a few seconds, okay?
All right.
All right. So, thanks for being for watching the Hammer Podcast. Hope you can subscribe to the channel. Helps support it. And if you were at the Agape, just go to the number at the top of the channel page. Give me a text, and we'll try and schedule you in. All right. So for the Hammer Podcast, I'm Jason. You take care of yourself, and you take care of each other. Oh yeah.